Hello everybody, welcome back to the cabin. Welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, you know, I don't do videos like this, and I wasn't even going to do it today because I just rarely do them like this. But I'm going to. I watched ADH Dave's video, and I'm like, you know, I guess we can do this because I think it's relevant to a lot of resellers. We're going to talk about my goals for this year, but I'm going to do it looking back to my thought processes over the last couple of years and how I got to this point. I'm also going to be looking at the numbers for each different selling platform, talking about what I made gross wise. You know, it's difficult to get to the exact number if we're talking about net profit, but I'll give you an idea about that as well. I'm not going to get into social media type numbers today because this channel is about reselling, not about YouTube revenue. However, I will allude to that a few times. I hope you enjoy this video. I usually don't do them just because of the feedback that comes back. And there's all kinds of stuff all over the place, and people will say different things about it. They'll either criticize for bragging, or they'll criticize, you know, well, you're not a real reseller because of this or that. Oh, that reminds me of something. I got a great message from somebody that I have to talk about. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but this is going to be a fun video. Let's go take a look. All right, if you watch this show a lot, you know I always pick while I mix the topic in. Today I'm going to try to front load it a little bit and get through the numbers. It'll be harder to do it the way I typically do it. But I'm going to pick a couple things really quick and then get to the numbers. This thing here was from last video, this Christmas Village, and I said I couldn't find it. And I did find it, and I just wanted to make sure everybody... Some people get really upset. They're like, oh my goodness, you couldn't find something. But I found it, so I just want to show it to you. Another Christmas item, still selling in January, a musical Santa car. This came in a lot of stuff that came to me for free, believe it or not. Didn't sell for a ton, but worth selling. And you get it for nothing, $18.95 plus shipping. I'm going to start with just a little bit of context from 2023 and my mindset and what I was thinking. And then I'm going to pull one more order, and then we're going to get into the actual numbers for 2024. So obviously, if you've been following me for a while, you know, going way back, I was a teacher, and the most I ever made as a teacher and a coach as a bus driver, the most, and this was year 21, was $42,000 and change in a year. And I always supplemented my income. My wife didn't work outside the home. We made that choice. We knew there'd be sacrifices. She helped me with the reselling business, and we could double that essentially. We could bring into the household over $80,000 a year, and we'd make it. It was fine. We didn't have a lot of extra money, you know, let's see, there's, you know, 2 kids, an older kid. So, you know, he's gone now, but he wasn't back then. And so we were supporting a family of 5 on that, and we were doing okay. We were doing just fine. Not a lot of extra money for vacations and all that stuff. And when I decided to quit my teaching job, I decided that because of the success of the social media, I thought, hey, I'll just keep selling like I resell. Social media money will come in and replace the teaching income. That's kind of looking back, way back. That was the original thought process. But of course, at that point, you want to grow everything, and including the reselling side of the business. So that's what we started to do. And I wanted to get that number. Let's just look at 2023. I wanted to, in 2023, my thought process for 2024 was to get over $200,000 in gross sales. The difference was that live selling kind of started to come into the equation for us, and the success of social media, and we started to do that. I love live selling, but it's not my first love. My first love is static selling on eBay. And so I started to put a lot of time. I was always putting a ton of time into social media. And I started to offload some of the reselling stuff so I'd have more time for that. What do I mean by offload it? Well, my boy's fiance had some time. She graduated college. We started to put her on the payroll a little bit, just bits and pieces to help out because it was all becoming overwhelming. And I found myself not being as happy as I was because I like reselling more than I like social media. However, I love the heck out of social media too. So in 2023, there's a transition towards offloading some of the reselling stuff. My wife helping me more, Bubba's fiance helping me more. And it wasn't quite the way I wanted it to be. So about halfway through 2024, I started to decide, hey, I'm going to offload some of the social media stuff and get back to the eBay reselling, hoping we could generate more revenue that way, and I like it more. That's what we did. So the goal was $200,000 in gross sales. And that was going to be a combination of all platforms for 2024. And I also said, I think in a previous video, that I wanted that I thought that was an attainable goal, but we really could push it past there, and we did. And I'm pretty happy with the numbers so far. But this year's goal is to continue to offload some of the social media stuff. Like, for instance, the shorts that I make for different platforms. It's not my favorite thing to do. I have now offloaded almost all of that, including the posting of those shorts. Not all of it, but almost all of it. And the toughest editing for the Commonwealth picker videos, the first draft kind of stuff, I offloaded that as well. And I have more time to focus on the reselling part of it. So we're going to look at the numbers here in just a second. Let me pull one more item, tell a story about that item, and then I'll give you the 2024 numbers. And in addition to that, I forgot to mention, what Bubba's fiance was doing for us was largely the live selling stuff. And at that time, it was on Whatnot. And it's great, but the margins aren't as good, especially when you're paying somebody to help you, because I wanted to focus on this part of the business. So we'll get to that too. This is a Barbie Rapunzel, y'all. I picked it. You might have seen this on the Commonwealth Picker YouTube channel. And I'm sure a lot of you have already commented on that and saying, like, you paid so much. And I'm like, I know I did. So I bought this right here. They would not budge, y'all. This lady was funny. I really enjoyed it. And I would have walked away most of the time, but I really thought she was awesome. And her husband. And where's the other item? I can't even find. Oh, here it is right here. This Mickey Lego thing. I have to look back at that video, but I think I spent $120 on that for both of these. And I'm like, I walked away and I'm like, what did I just do? I knew I'd make money, and I'm going to make money on it. But I thought because it was before Christmas, it'd be perfect. I'd get them both gone. I'd make $70 profit or something like that. Spending $120 to make $70 profit is not a good business model for what I do. But half of it worked out so far. The other half is yet to be seen. This sold for $124.95 plus shipping, and the dog is knocking. I gotta get to this. Oh, both of them are here. I gotta get to the topic, y'all. They'll be mad at me. By the way, the dogs are in here now. Oh, well. We're still gonna get to the topic. Let me grab this one more. I lied to y'all. Because it is a Christmas item. Surprisingly, this Harley I sold after Christmas for $20, $19.95 plus shipping. That other Mickey Lego item, since we're basically in the hole about what, fees, $20 or so at this point. That other Mickey item is listed for $114 plus shipping, has a watcher on it. So I don't know, if I sell for $100, I'll make $70 on this deal when it's all said and done. I'll be happy once it's said and done, but it's not something I want to do. All right, 2024 eBay numbers. And we were actually higher in 2022 on eBay than we were in 2023, which made me want to do those switches. I wanted to put my time into eBay. That's where the most bang for your buck is. It's where the highest profit margins are. And I didn't want to offload that to Bubba's fiance or to anybody else. I wanted to focus on it. It's what I love the most. And so I wanted to make these changes so far. And a lot of the changes really happened in the second half of 2024. And it's worked. We're just a shade, just $300 under $130,000 in gross sales on eBay. What are we doing? You can't chew on boxes. You're going to have to go. Side note, this doesn't have to pertain to the whole gross number for all of 2024, but the average sales price on eBay was up $6, which is good. We've been trying to bump that up a little bit and using the live selling platforms in order to do it. So speaking of live selling, I sold, if you've been watching this channel, I used to sell on Whatnot, and I completely stopped. And I think I stopped in June. I think my last sale I did over there was in June. And I have all the numbers here. I should probably just look at my list. I'm going to round these up. The total number at the end will be within $1,000 of the total number. Just make it easier. In other words, I counted $130,000 for eBay, but it was really $129,700. So $30,000 for Whatnot, and that was all front-loaded in 2024. That is when I had made the decision, we were going to take Bubba's fiance and give her a job in between graduating and the job that she now has. She no longer helps us out. She's still part of the family, though. So while we were phasing out Bubba's fiance, I suppose, the idea was, hey, the margins aren't great over there on live selling, but there still is a margin, and there was certainly a margin enough for me to be able to pay Bubba's fiance to basically run it all for me, except for the show, ship it. She'd make an income. I'm making a little bit of money compared to the gross number. It might be 20% if I'm paying her, but it's still a profit and I'm not doing the work, which is fine, but it does take up time. And then we added, of course, Jess to the equation, who still to this day, she comes in basically whenever she pleases. And I don't mean that in a negative way. That's a good thing. She's in that situation where this is the kind of job, you know, single mom and stuff like that, that can really help her. And she's been amazing to us. And she'll come in, like we didn't see her for 2 weeks, and then she was here for 2 straight days. And she's not here today. And she doesn't have to tell me she's not here. But if I do need something, I'll call her in. So she's taken over most of the live selling, but we shifted it to district. We shifted it to our marketplaces over there, Dibdit, and to Shop Commons. However, I do sell occasionally on other district marketplaces as well. And so I'm going to give you those numbers. But you got to wait for one more item here. This is a Longa burger set and $1 a piece, and sold for $17.95 plus shipping. They're, I think, table liner or something, placemats. Not huge profit, but easy profit. So just like I said with those whatnot numbers back when we used to sell over there, that was all front loaded to the beginning of the year. These numbers on district are all backloaded towards the end of the year when we stopped selling over there. And that marketplace, we had to grow to get to this point. So I think next year's numbers will be, well, we'll talk about that in just a second. We're just under $45,000 on district sales this year. We have a better margin over there than we did on Whatnot, which is good for multiple reasons. One of the biggest ones is the shipping. Doesn't have to be done after every show. You don't lose money on shipping, combining shipping over there, because you can ship off platform. You can do all kinds of things. You can do progressive shipping over days and days, and it's made it a lot better. Plus the fees are lower, but that's a side point. But the margins are better for sure. And the way we set up the shows is way more effective if I'm asking somebody to help me. The cost of doing a show labor-wise, because I wouldn't do them myself, I wouldn't set them up. I was paying, at the time, Bubba's fiance. We're doing these shows now without setup. It's just, you don't have to take the pictures in advance. We're just doing it and selling stuff off, and people don't see it until it's on the screen. Way more effective. And also more effective because it encourages the progressive buyer. I had one guy the other day, we were doing video game systems, and he ended up with 16 orders, and it was all going to the same person. So you might sell a ton, but so many of them are going, and that happens on Whatnot too, but not as much as it does over here. So much more cost effective labor-wise and fee-wise for me over here on District. And for those of you that are wondering, I will get into the margins and the margins with labor for the live selling as well, so you get an idea. Here's for those of you Vera haters out there who call me crazy for selling Vera. Even you won't pass up a brand new Vera with tags on it, especially if it's one of these little backpacks. You know why? Because this sucker sold for $65 plus shipping. Picked it up for $5. Nice. All right, now in addition to this, we do sell on some other platforms, and I was selling at the beginning of the year a little bit on Mercari. I've made a decision. This is not a suggestion for people, because everybody's business is different. For me, I've decided this year, 2025, I'm not going to sell on Mercari. That's not necessarily a permanent decision, but we did sell and we stopped selling, and then we did sell and we sold pretty good for a while, and then we slowed down. I was like, it's the time involved with it, with the processes that we've put in place that are starting to really, really work. I don't think it's really worth it for me. But of course I sell on Bonanza as well, so I pulled up those numbers for Bonanza, which is not a ton, and then some local sales as well, which I actually made 2 fairly substantial local sales this year. Not massive, but fairly good money. And I occasionally sell precious metals off that I find at garage sales as well, and added those in. And we're just a tick over 10,000 for those different marketplaces and local sales. Sold this G.I. Joe. This is not a super vintage one, although it is vintage 1992. And it sold for $24. And nope, just $24. $24 for that one. That's kind of a pain in the butt to ship for $24, but 24 plus shipping. So a couple more things about these numbers, and of course there'll be commenters, and you can read them down below that'll say things like, hey, you're on social media, you know, you have an advantage, whatever. Read into it whatever that you will. I'm just giving you the numbers. We've talked about viewer sales before, and some people will say, well, you know, you can't sell those kind of numbers live selling unless you have an audience and stuff. We're changing that narrative. We're changing it on Dibdit, to be honest with you, and Shop Commons, because of the way that that thing is set up. I'm watching a Dibdit show right now where somebody with no social media following whatsoever has 41 people in their auction. So if that's been you in the past and that's been, you know, what you've told yourself, I don't think it's necessarily true anymore like I used to. And I certainly do know are advantages. You go into a hairy tornado, whatnot, or something, there's 300 people or something. I'm not discounting that whatsoever. But things are changing. And I'm also not saying, hey, sell live, that's the future. Because I'm selling live. Don't get me wrong, that's going to be a part of my business. I'm just going to tell you right now, I would be shocked if I ever quit selling on eBay. I want that eBay number to go up. It's what I love the most, and it gives you the most bang for your buck. So let's talk a little bit about the overall number and then the margins of each. Like I said, the total number, 215K, give or take a little bit. Give me a little grace on that. It's going to be around there somewhere. And the margins really do vary greatly. And the margins vary, for me in particular, greatly based on the second half of the year versus the first half of the year. And if I'm paying somebody to help me do the live sales. And occasionally, by the way, Jess will, when she comes by, sometimes I'll have her do some eBay stuff, sorting, and she does pictures and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of cost involved. But that eBay number at 130,000 is undoubtedly, if my numbers haven't changed greatly from the previous years as far as profit margins, and I think profit margins are slightly going down unless you make adjustments for different things. But for me, I'm looking at well over 50% profit margin, and I don't want to go much higher than that, even though I know it is much higher than that, because people will tell me I'm full of baloney. So I'll just say that, remember, I also don't promote things on eBay, and that the people who do, you know, that might cut in 5%, 10%, whatever you promote or whatever, and there's different costs. And the buy cost, because I've decided I'm going to continue to do things the way that I do them and buy at garage sales and stuff like that versus getting pallets or doing whatever. I mean, different models, and they all work for different people for different reasons. But for me, I know if I made $130,000 on eBay gross, that bare minimum, that's $65,000. So, and really it's higher than that. And so these numbers on live selling platforms are going to be greatly diminished from that. It might, let's just throw out a number. I haven't run all those numbers because that's kind of the point of selling over there. It's just bulk and letting it just flow through there, and you know you're making a profit, so it doesn't matter. You just keep shoving stuff into that system and you're making something. But from the best I can tell, to say 40% is probably on the high side for a lot of folks. It's not necessarily on the high side for me. However, if you also take into account that I was paying labor to do things, and that labor cost is what got me to move away from that because I was losing money on shipping and the constant giveaway stuff and whatever. It's why I moved over to the district platform. This isn't to promote my district platforms, although hopefully it does that. There are just certain advantages that made the labor costs go way down, and I don't need to have. Now I can just have Jess come by whenever she wants, and the rest of it we can do by ourselves, as opposed to needing a little bit of help. So in running some of those early stuff that I was doing live selling on whatnot, you know, my margin might be as low as 20% on some stuff after you got to pay the shipping costs, the labor for the shipping costs, because I wasn't doing any of the live stuff. And I wanted to reformat it in a way that worked better. And this system over there works way better for me. My margins are a little higher. They're not insanely high, but they're a little higher than they were. So what were the numbers I said? So at 75K, you know, I can be very comfortable knowing that I'm making, say, 35% minimum on that I'm making. And of course, that's enough money over there to take a percentage of that and to give it to Jess as her. It's really nice. To be honest with you, we don't have to have Jess, but man, it is so awesome to have her. And I'm so glad we could do this for her as well. And I would love to keep it this way forever. Hopefully it works. But if we ever did lose her and the time she comes and helps, we would probably just do it ourselves. I'd give more opportunities for the kids to make money and stuff. So out of that number of 215,000, I'm pretty comfortable saying that our net profit is over $100,000 a year, and probably more than that. And I'm fairly happy with that at this point. However, I really want to grow the reselling side of my business, and I'm continually doing things for social media, because that's part of my business as well, where I can take the time that I spend doing something slowly on social media and move it to somebody else. And so it's been fun, and stay connected to the social part of it, but not necessarily the editing part of it, although I still will continue to edit these videos completely and finish those videos for the Picker channel and stuff like that. But I'm no longer probably going to sit there and create shorts, for instance. I just don't like it. I don't love it. I like the shorts, but I don't like making them. And I would much rather be down here listing, shipping, and doing eBay stuff. Hey, we did have a viewer sale, so now all the folks who say this is only possible because I have viewers can put that in the comments below. This is, we sell $14.95 when they're not on sale. They're Z28s. They're really cool. Been selling them for years. And I appreciate the purchase, $14.95. And there was a message on this one. Jennifer, I love your YouTube channel and I learned so much from you. Here's to lots of success in 2025. This is a gift for my dad's birthday. Jennifer, I hope your dad enjoys that. I wish you the very best for 2025. It's a good time. I got to give away some tape too. It's a good time to put your goals down below if you're willing to share them. I'm going to share mine here in just a second. Here's an item that doesn't exactly help the ASP, but I don't really care that much. ASP is awesome and a good gauge of stuff, but really, if you watch this show, you know it's about the time you put into the money you get out and how it fits your lifestyle, and it's very, very different. So these were a multi-quantity listing, and we only had one left here. $8.50 plus shipping. Bought a bunch for $1 a piece. My wife did, actually. All right, we're going to continue giving away tape, and maybe this little tiny gift can help you in the new year. Keep costs down, I suppose. That's, by the way, that's a great expense. Talking about margins going down, the shipping supply expense. And so hopefully you guys can find ways like my go-to tape. And by the way, I'm not going to give it, a lot of people keep putting my go-to, T-O. It's my go #2 tape. Put that down below or you can't win. MyGoToTape.com. Reggie, this is a 4-pack. So you're going to get a 4-pack if you send an email to me here. And you get a 4-pack of it sent to you for free, no cost whatsoever. But you have to send an email to me, Reggie. Reggie with 3 E's is the winner. So send an email to me at commonwealthpicker@gmail.com. Go check out Joel's tape. I used a 3-inch tape, but this is for the 2-inch tape. And you can go to mygototape.com or American Bubble Boy. Use code Commonwealth, 5% off. I've done a lot of other small things to try to keep my margins high. And one of them is buying in bulk. And one of them is doing the subscription plan with the bubble that reduces the price. I figure that was better time-wise and overall to reduce the price of the bubble that I get over there at American Bubble Boy. And I'm sure there's some things out there. I have not gone the route. I still buy boxes, and I really, really want to do a better job of boxes, and I might even create a space out there where the recycling, you can see all these boxes back here. I'm not throwing those things away. The Christmas stuff that comes in, I'm like, we reuse that stuff. I want to do a little bit better job of finding sources of free boxes. We have some around here, but the time, because I live out in a rural area, it doesn't make much sense. But anyway, that's really a topic for a different day. But I've bought in bulk, and I bought at the end of last year, so that I could write it off on last year's, you know, I don't know. It's all just pushing money around, but I have bought in bulk a lot in 2024, and I am going to continue doing that. It reduces the time for constantly reordering. I realize sometimes you can't outlay a lot of cash, but it really has helped, and I'm going to increase that this year too. I bought this little thing for my wife a couple years back when she's a Packer fan, and he's no longer on the Packers, and she's like, yeah, his stock has dropped, I guess. Go ahead and sell it. $9.95 for Aaron Rodgers plus shipping. You know, I've always considered myself a part-time reseller, even after I quit my job to resell, because in essence, take your pick. Social media was my side gig, or reselling was my side gig to social media. It's, you know, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care at this point what people call it anymore. It's just what I try to build everything on all platforms and social media reselling, whatever it is. But I have never sold $250,000 just reselling. And I think this year is the year that's going to be the goal. And to up eBay to over $150,000 is going to be, I think, very attainable with the systems we've set up. And to increase, I think what I'm going to do, essentially here, I know this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to do the Bonanza thing because it's easy. You don't have to do anything. But it's going to be eBay and Bonanza, if you want to call it that. And it's going to be District, the District platform. And I mentioned earlier, you know, obviously I'm selling on DibDip, but I'm selling in quantities over on shopcommons.net as well. And I also sold glass. I sold $2,600 worth of glass on Knickknacks this year as well. So it's going to be focused on eBay and that should be the primary part of that, $250,000. I want to hit $100,000 in live sales over on district. That'll bring us to $250,000, and I think that's where I want to be for this year. So let me know if you think we can get it. Let me know your plans for the year in the comments below. I don't often sell golf clubs, and if you've been watching me for a while, you know that. I know golf clubs pretty well. This is a fairly economically depressed area up here where I live compared to many that do really well with golf clubs. I would sell them. I definitely would if I found more, but I just don't. These sold for $34.95. It's just a 5 through a 9 iron. Plus shipping, of course. And these numbers, they really have to do quite a bit with where you're at. And I know there's a ton of, I know personally a lot of live sellers out there who put up, you know, show crazy millions of dollars in gross sales. The margins are down. The shipping costs, or excuse me, the shipping time is a ton. It's really a massive amount. And I'm not knocking anybody who does that. There's a lot of money to be made over there doing that stuff. And there's those numbers that they might share might be way bigger than mine for sure. And good for them. In this area where I live, unless I changed my models of sourcing, it just simply won't work. There's just not enough. Not right here. There's not enough people, for goodness sake. And golf is part of that. But where my uncle, I don't think he'd mind me sharing. I don't know, maybe he would. I'm going to share it anyways, Uncle Steve. He sells predominantly, almost entirely golf clubs, and sold $125,000 on eBay alone. He also sells on Whatnot. Sold another one of these Nike tees. This should be a size medium. We only have mediums and smalls left. This went for $19.95 plus shipping. Our sale was off when we took a little bit of a break. Hey, a break. That's another thing I want to talk about. $19.95. Was this free shipping? No, plus shipping on that one. I think, you know, in 2022, we came closer to that number of 250,000 than we did even last year. But 215, you know, it wasn't our goal to hit 250. It is now. But part of it was, you know, because we had that social media income, we were able to do some things that my family's never been able to do. Little things like not have a bucket of bolts driving around where you're in the shop every day. And we don't buy new cars, but I still at least get something that's somewhat dependable. And we took more vacations. And I also travel. I never used to travel at all to go to highway sales or events or whatever. And so every time I do that now, I shut the store down. And so I've talked to my wife, and she's like, hey, if you're going to a sale, just leave it open. I'll ship this stuff. We could have always done this, but because of this channel, and there's so many people who buy things that are viewers, I always want to thank people and whatever. I'm like, just shut it down. I'll do it when I get back. And we lose sales from that. I think without that, if I didn't do that last year, we'd be at 150,000 on eBay this year. So I think next year, at least sometimes, if I'm gone and not my family, I think I'm going to leave the store open, which might change this channel, our videos 8-10 times a year, where I might do a video on remote. You know, she could ship it, and I'll just put the screenshots up of what sold while I was gone or something and do the video on the road. So maybe that'll help that number just easily right there. If we're both gone, if sometimes we go to the beach. Last year we went twice to the beach. My wife's like, yeah, we're going twice. I'm like, okay. So Jess has said, yeah, I'll come in and ship eBay stuff, which she doesn't do very often. She'll do that if we keep the store open, and we can pay her to do that. We're making a little bit smaller margin, but I think you're still making more money, and the store isn't shut down, which means you don't have to ramp it back up and you get it back on par. And so to keep that store open all year, or most of the year, or at least more of the year than last year, I think will help too. It's always a good day when I sell some shoes. Have not bought near as many this year, and a lot of them that I bought, I sold off in giant lots over on Shop Commons for a lot less of a profit margin. But this is HS Trask, and they're from Bozeman, Montana. They're not in great shape. I don't really fix up shoes or anything other than the bare minimum. These sold for $30 plus shipping. It's a 1997 Mummy. It's the kind of thing I would sell over on Divdit, but I didn't this time. Sold for $8.99 plus shipping. I do have one concern about reaching my number of 100,000 on live selling. We're going to reach it. We're going to reach it, but, well, this will sound like a promotion. It isn't. I'll promote it some other time. You know me, I'm not afraid to promote stuff. Man, the next sale I thought was right there, and I don't see it. Oh, well, I'll tell you this right now, is that Divdit is having so much success right now relative to where it was and how much it's grown, that there are tons of sellers getting on there at this point. and there's live sales almost every day and sometimes throughout the entire day. And I really foresee there being different categories in there. Sports cards is starting to ramp up on Wednesdays, for instance. And all of that, I don't want to come in and encroach on other people's success and run concurrent shows and pull their audience away from them. So I might have to have like a dedicated space over there where I can run shows. And we've been able to help so many other people who are dabbling in live selling for the first time because there's an audience for a niche, as opposed to building their own audience on another live selling platform. Here's a pretty cool little sale here. If it's in the right spot, I pulled them out earlier, so it should still be here. Keep some license plates in here. I bought these over a year ago. These are Pennsylvania County plates right there. And these two sold, I paid up a little bit. The guy was, I think he wanted, I don't know. I can't remember what he wanted. I think I paid $5 a piece for them. It's been so long I can't even remember, but I remember I didn't want, I was hoping for $1, and because I didn't really know how well they'd sell, but he didn't give them to me for that. But they still sold $34.95 plus shipping, so I think I'm into them for $10, sold for $35 plus ship. Hey, Turner's got some Commonwealth comedy. What do you got, bud?
How do you make a hot dog stand?
How do you make a hot dog stand? I don't know how.
Take away its chair.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Reagan's got some sales out of CommonwealthPicker.com. These are the first sales for 2025. Thank you. Look at her beautiful hair.
It's not my real hair.
It's not your
real
hair.
It's my real hair, but it's not natural. I curl
It's not curly like that.
Yeah.
And she made me cake pops today, like Starbucks. I hear a dog out there.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
Look at him.
How you doing, bud? You want in? All right.
Shannon and John got CWP black lights.
Shannon and John, 2 CWP black lights. Thank y'all.
Bye, and don't forget to get your stickers at CommonwealthPicker.com.
You might remember me selling a ton of Carhartt stuff for not high dollars because I got a bundle deal on it, and I was making a little bit of money so that I could make a lot on some of these that I ended up buying for, like, I think less than $3 or around $3, $3.25. So this one made me good profit. Those don't. This one sold for $50 plus shipping. Next sale is pretty cool. This is the stuff I like to sell the absolute most. It is a vintage New York Rangers hat that I bought at a sale on a Picker channel that I took a little heat for which was, well, I'll just let it stand. AJD, it is used. Pretty cool old hat, sold for $24.95 plus shipping. Next one I put back here. It was actually a gift to my boy from my brother. I think I put it back here anyways. Maybe I didn't. All right, I found it in that bin right there. And my brother bought it. Whoop. Brand new. Drop it on the floor. And it was not the right size. So he's like, keep it. Sell it, do whatever. And he sent him another one. I'm like, well, that's nice of you. So that one sold for $16.95 plus shipping. Sold a Kermit the Frog. I can see his little green legs hanging out. What do you think of the color-coded bins back here? Anything to save a minute, right? With a cape, little Halloween Kermit right here. That one's headed out of here. It's got bendable legs, posable, and all that. That one's kind of cool. I like it. For $19.95 plus shipping. I see repeat buyer on this one, which sometimes means you're a viewer, Jonathan. Thank you. If you are, I appreciate it. Next one is definitely a viewer, so thank you for that. I think that makes 3 today. And it is also Carhartt. You know, like I said, some you're selling off for just a little bit of profit. Some you're selling off for a lot of profit. That deal, all told, was pretty good. Went to Roxanne, $22.95 plus shipping. And you left a message, and just want to say thank you for your very nice message. We appreciate it. Wishing my wife well. My wife is feeling much, much better. Right before Christmas, but she was not feeling well. So thank you to Roxanne, as always. All right, I could pick and pull a little bit more today, but I'm going to wait for tomorrow, I think. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching. We appreciate you very, very much. Let me know your goals below, and don't be ashamed of your goals. You know, there'll be people down below who may or may not comment, I don't know, but I know so many people who make my numbers look tiny, and I know so many people who see my numbers and think, you know, I could never attain that. But always set some goal that is attainable for you and a lifestyle that you really want to have. So we appreciate you stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know there'll probably be some comments down below that will say this and that, and that's okay too. So we appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you next.